Thank you very much for having us. This is Ruth, our little sister, and I think we can all attest that sometimes in life, things happen that you can't prepare for, that you can't possibly predict your reaction to until they happen. For me, finding out that my baby sister had Down syndrome was one of those things. I was 11, perhaps old enough to know what that meant on the surface, but I could never have predicted what that would mean for me and for my family and our lives. That's why my initial internal reaction was negative. I knew how people like Ruth were perceived by the general population. I knew how the condition was stigmatized, and I worried for her. But worse than that, I worried about what it would mean for me. And that will always be one of my biggest regrets. Because if I had known then what I have learned since, I'd have realized that I couldn't possibly have asked for a better sister. If I had to sum... Thank you. If I had to sum her up in one word, it would be sunshine. Because that's what she is. She's the light of my life, the kind of light that never goes out and touches everyone it meets. When she laughs, you want to laugh too. And when she smiles, it's impossible not to smile back. It makes you feel special and loved, because she does love. I remember the first time she told me she loved me. And of course that was special, but it wasn't the first time I knew she loved me. I'd always known. And that's one of the things I admire most about her, that every single thing she says or expresses is exactly how she's feeling in that moment. She doesn't do what she thinks she should, or say things because people expect her to. She's just so organically herself. And sometimes that means dancing around the living room, but others it means throwing a tantrum in the middle of a supermarket. Because there are tantrums in public and moments when the noise is just too much. But for every bad moment, there are 10 amazing moments that follow. 10 moments you wouldn't change for the world. Her first steps, the steps it took her so long to take, and the joy I felt as I watched her take them. When she ran and jumped, and then when she started to talk. It's hard to imagine a time when she couldn't talk, because now there's rarely a moment when she isn't. But we all watched her try and fail and try again. And then she did it. Patience was all it took. Ruth had made us all more patient and accepting people simply by existing. The positive effect she has on the lives of those around her is impossible to ignore. Friends I've known all my life love her almost as much as I do, and those I haven't known quite as long are often only curious. One thing we get asked about a lot is where Ruth will go when she leaves primary school in 2 years, and the truth is we're not entirely sure yet, but nor are we sure what the future will hold for Ruth. But the same can be said for all of us. People with Down syndrome can be successful too. They can be successful athletes and models and actors, but most importantly, they can live happy, fulfilling lives. The details of what living with Down syndrome actually means are unfortunately not common knowledge, which is why many people who have had or are expecting a child with Down syndrome are unable to see past the stigma, especially if there is no one in their corner who has experiences similar to mine. That's why it's a privilege to be speaking here today, because by sharing my experiences, maybe I can be that person for someone. Because either as a parent or as a sibling, your life will always change when a child enters it. They become your world, or at least a big part of it. But Ruth didn't become my world. She became the very sun that my whole world orbits, and a world without a sun isn't much of a world at all. Thank you. My brother Gabriel has got a poem that he wrote for Ruth.
This is a poem for my little sister Ruth. It might take her a little bit longer, she goes at her own pace. It might take her a little bit longer because not everything has to be a race. It might take a little bit longer to keep up with her friends. It might take her a little bit longer, but she'll get there in the end. It takes me a little bit longer to see the world through her eyes. But when I finally get there, it should come as no surprise. The love, the laughs, the smiles, the truth. She's not any burden, she's my little sister Ruth.
Thank you.